And if you want to find us, we'll be right here on AFC Newsday. The shout out to the Strifes there. Great music as always. Welcome back, guys. It's great to be here. AFC Newsday live. It's Sunday, the 18th of February. It's great to be back here on AFC Newsday. Shout out to everyone tuned in, whether you're watching on Twitter or on YouTube. It's great to have you there. We're back, and I'm back with, my side piece. That's a bit derogatory, isn't it? Not my side piece. My side partner, my partner in crime, Matt, is here with me as well. Matt, welcome back, my friend. How's your weekend been?
Not too bad. Bit worse after that, but I'll let it slide. No, very good, thank you. The Arsenal, obviously, we'll talk about shortly. Huge win for us. City dropping points, which is nice. Spurs lost in an entertaining Luton United game, and in general, nice gym session, nice chill weekend.
Gym session. I see you're going ham on the gym, mate. You're an Arsenal / gym content creator now, aren't you?
Pretty much, to be fair. That's my game. How was your weekend, my friend?
Mate, it's been good. It's been busy. But good, great to be here. Yem saying, evening lads, looking forward to your views on recent form. Apparently, Arsenal need a striker. Goals wouldn't suggest that Arsenal have needed a striker based off the last two games. But evening to you, Yem. Hope you are, my friend. I need to get myself back up to the Emirates. It's been a while, and I haven't.
I'm a fraud. I'm kind of a fraud, to be fair. When we were speaking to Jim before the Liverpool game, yeah. I thought I had no chance of getting a ticket. I was there and I didn't message him. So
you didn't message him? Oh, mate, yeah. Next time you're on, you got to have it out with him. That's outrageous. We're on before, obviously, the great Latte Firman at 9:30, so I don't want to clash with them. So we'll let Faisal have his free reign. The absolute goat that he is. But we're talking about Arsenal, and it's been a minute, so I wanted to talk about. Yes, mate. That could be reacting to a number of things. But let's talk about Arsenal because it's been two incredible results last time: a 6-0 win over West Ham and a 5-0 win over Burnley yesterday. Really, really was some beautiful football on display. Some questionable goalkeeping maybe in the Burnley game, but both games, lots of goals. Matt. Burnley, West Ham, obviously we were on before West Ham last time, so the two results as a whole, what have you made from it and, the direction that Arsenal are going in at the moment?
Brilliant. I mean, to follow up a 6-0 away win with a 5-0 away win, it's quite, being able to sing that stadiums are empty everywhere we go, which probably backfires at some point. When I don't know, another whatever happens at some stage. But for now, to be able to follow that up is amazing. And two incredibly dominant performances. West Ham, a place which obviously it kind of started as the beginning of the end for us last season. And we got complacent there. This time round, we were 3-0 up, we were 4-0 up, we didn't get complacent. We were 5-0 up, we were 6-0 up, we still didn't get complacent. Against Burnley, 4-0, taking off all our best players. It's funny because part of
Cedric Suarez minutes, and honestly, I never thought I'd see the day that Cedric.
I love
Suarez
it,
Yeah,
I love it. Because previously it'll be like Cedric comes on, and Arsenal Twitter's a meltdown. Why we bring on Cedric? Cedric comes on now. I'm like, come on, we've won the game.
Yeah. Need to get him a song. Faisal's comment is saying, looking forward to his show tonight. Another reason as well why I don't want to clash with Latte Farm is because I want to watch it, and I want to watch it tonight, and it's a good show. So after you finish watching AFC Newsday, make sure you watch Latte Farm. You know where it is. Make sure you're over there already for that one. Faisal, great to have you in here at the moment. Yem saying, would love to hear your views on how Arsenal rotate through the squad given a busy week. So we've got that game upcoming against Porto. it will be, a tough couple of games. Mikel Arteta really kind of in his post-match press conference touched on it. We will preview that before we come off tonight. So, Arsenal gets Porto in the Champions League. I want to hear your thoughts, Matt, on the UCL in general, how far you think Arsenal can go, and a number of other things too. But first of all, we're reflecting a little bit. I want to talk about Bukayo Saka because his form has been absolutely incredible. There's been a few talking points, people saying, is he world class? Isn't he? Certain Rio Ferdinand thinks he isn't world class. Matt, he's kind of, not that Bukayo Saka looks on Twitter and goes, oh, Rio Ferdinand said this, I'm going to react to it. But, he's really put those kind of narratives to bed almost this week, if he hadn't done it already, with his, incredible form the last two games.
To be honest, I think there's only one place you can talk about Bukayo Saka where it will do him justice, and that's on a podcast or a video or a stream or anything like that. Because however many characters on Twitter or just writing a tweet about him doesn't do that guy justice. Like, just, you could genuinely talk for hours about him and his brilliance, but, his whole journey as a player for us, being a consistent when we were struggling, carrying us from when he came in when he was 18 years of age, banging one in against Eintracht Frankfurt, coming on against Karabag and looking like a really good player, to filling in as a left back for a while, to now having better goal contributions than a young Ronaldo at that age, which, obviously stats aren't everything or whatever, but that's no stat manipulation. That's quite literally how it is.
It's the facts.
Like there's nothing there. So yeah, you've got a player who you genuinely just run out of superlatives for. A big game player, someone who always turns up, someone off the pitch who's just seems like an absolute joy, someone who's comfortable in pretty much every area of the pitch, the strength of the man. There was a moment against Burnley where we lost the ball and he just won it back, and then I think it was when he shot into the Burnley player afterwards, but his aggression, his upper body strength to win that ball back in that moment. His shooting is, a weak foot finish. I think the best way to sum him up for me is his weaknesses turn into his strengths. You think about the narratives which went around Saka to start with. It was like, oh, he's not a great finisher. Is he ever going to be that player who is a 20 or 15, 20 goal a season footballer,
Forward.
or 20, 30 goal contribution forward in general, never mind even goals. And he's completely dismissed all that. He's scored a plethora of different types of goals. And yeah, he's just, penalties obviously as well. Him being our regular penalty taker after what happened so young at the Euros just speaks volumes about him. And as I say, I could go on for so long about him, but his form has just been unbelievable. And the more you watch him, the more I could not care less what the term world class, if you think he's world class or not, good for you. Debate with someone else, have fun. Debate with whoever versus whoever, have fun. But the fact of the matter is, I just adore watching the boy play. And even if he didn't play for Arsenal, I think he's a player where take away your tribalism and just enjoy watching a player who is truly, truly special at only 22 years of age. It's almost unheard of.
Yeah, 22 years old, and the physicality he brings as well is just ridiculous. And I find it so interesting talking about his journey too, Matt, because he came through the academy, really quite deceptively. Someone that no one really had that many eyes on. Everyone talked about Reece Nelson and Emil Smith Rowe for correct reasons, but Bukayo Saka never really, from what I heard, got mentioned. It was Alex Iwobi as well around that time, Joe Willock, and Saka's just really. It is unheard of. There's not like a certain book or instruction manual that you can follow to become a successful footballer, and just the mold of who he is just incredible. But yeah, Saka's back. He's firing on all cylinders, and Arsenal will need him this week because they've got a really tough next kind of how many days? Just over 7 days, a week and a bit. You've got Porto away on Wednesday. You've got Newcastle at home on Saturday, the 24th of Feb. And then you've got Sheffield United away. Yeah, Sheffield United away. And then you've got some more tough games coming up. You've got Brentford, and then you've got that other Porto game as well. With the Champions League coming up now. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited, Matt, about this Champions League, and it's going to be tough. How do you think then, Matt, that Arsenal will rotate their squad? Do you see certain players coming in getting minutes, or do you think that Mikel will just look to keep the same kind of core players and then just hope not hope, but plan for them to recover in time so that they can be fit and ready for these games.
I think with, obviously having that Champions League game up next, that all important round of 16 tie, our first round of 16 tie, or first, obviously us being in the Champions League for the first time in 7 years is unbelievable in itself. And, our first round of 16 tie in however long. And it's important we navigate it effectively. It's important we don't underestimate the opposition, which we won't. Arteta, for one-off games especially, is just unbelievable. In general, he is, but for one-off games, he always just knows what to do. And that's why I think many people have said that Arsenal are one of the favourites for this competition. But me personally, I want to stay grounded. Like I said at the start of the season, on paper, we should be a team which goes to the quarterfinal or semi-final, or maybe further. But I don't want to go ahead of myself. Where in tournament football, things can go so wrong so quickly, and you can suddenly just get humbled, and it all comes crashing down. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But I don't want to get ahead of myself and say, I don't know, Arsenal can win the Champions League or anything, because for me, it's all about us just navigating this Porto tie effectively, having no hiccups in it, going to Porto away for that first leg, putting on a really professional performance, taking advantage of, just our strengths and not Porto's weaknesses, so to speak, but the Champions League style in general, where teams will probably play a bit more like Burnley, where they try to be quite compact, but they play a higher line in that first half. I'm not going to say second, because that was
Burnley.
in the sense of they'll play deep and they'll play compact, but they'll play quite a high line. And that's always kind of a bit of a European feature. I can't say I've really watched Porto at all. I'm not even going to say in general at all. But it's important we just, navigate that tie effectively. And then in terms of the rotation side of things, I think, with no disrespect to West Ham or Burnley, the actual exertion of fitness and everything like that, I can't imagine as being too straining on the players. And I think almost evidence of that is the fact that Saliba and Gabriel were the players who have played the most. And they're, if anything, the ones who looked a tiny bit more leggy against Burnley. Whereas, the players who have been playing week in, week out and coming off at the 67th minute mark or whatever else look completely unfazed. Ødegaard, who's been playing back-to-back 90 minutes, doesn't look, at all affected in that sense. Bukayo Saka coming off back-to-back 67th minute. He will get that hat-trick soon. Bless him. It will come. It'll come. But yeah, it's an interesting one, because you also said love to hear your views on how we rotate through the squad given a busy week. That kind of goes, on to you talking about the Champions League tie and a next busy week. But before I say we go on to the rotation side of things, how do you fancy Arsenal's chances in the Champions League and that Porto game, of course, especially?
Well, mate, I was in my feelings a little bit last night in the group chat, just chatting about the Champions League in general, and I just really want to see Arsenal go for it. Like, I know obviously it's the first year back in the competition in how many years, but I just really think there's an opportunity. I know some clubs in Europe are absolutely incredible. You think of Real Madrid, and the team they've got is ridiculous. PSG have got individuals that can win any game for you in Europe or in the league or whenever. And then in the Premier League you've got the likes of Manchester City and Arsenal. Manchester City. There's plenty of teams and quality in Europe. Not doubting that at all. But I just really want to see Arsenal go for it. Just nights like we had at the Emirates. When Atletico Madrid came to the Emirates. I know it wasn't the result that Arsenal wanted in the end, but the atmosphere was ridiculous in that game. The game against Valencia in the Europa League, those kind of matches and those moments, I feel like there's an extra edge when it comes to Europe. Yem said he wants to show Killian what it's like. What you can get jealous of.
I was trying to make a comment to that,
PSG,
to be honest.
beating PSG would be interesting, and we're going to talk about that. Team News and Ticks tweet, which was interesting, that came out today. But back to my point, I really want to see Arsenal go for the Champions League this year, and I think they've got a really, really good squad. One of the informed squads in Europe. The quality is definitely there, in my opinion, to beat any team on their day. It's just I just want to see these big European nights back at Arsenal again. With the big powerhouse competitions, not competitions, but teams that come to Arsenal, and it just really deeply excites me, the opportunity that's there for Arsenal. And I'd love to see a PSG or a Real Madrid. If Arsenal got Man City, I'd be a bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie, but just because obviously you know what Man City are like. But a PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich are losing the first leg at the moment, aren't they? But
Lost
even
the
a Bayern
first
Munich,
leg and lost today 3-2. And Upamecano
yeah,
got back-to-back red cards. Not to put it on him, but that is
yeah.
pretty impressive.
Maybe
But
Arsenal can give Bayern Munich, a bit
bit of
of
revenge.
revenge. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But just a little bit on Porto, though. They are currently third in Liga Portugal. They've got Sporting and Benfica ahead of them at the moment. And of course, because Arsenal finished top of their group, Porto finished second in their Champions League group. Just looking through some of their results, they had Barcelona in their group, they had Shakhtar Donetsk, and they had Antwerp. So just looking through some of their results, they lost to Barcelona, and I mean even Barcelona got through, didn't they? I mean even Barca, even
Somehow.
Barca. Yeah. Even Barca at the Emirates would be incredible. But just looking through their results, they won a few games. They lost to Barcelona twice, but they beat Shakhtar Donetsk away, Antwerp away. They won to Antwerp at home, lost to Barcelona away and home, and they beat Shakhtar Donetsk at home 5-3. So, they're a strong side and they'll have momentum with their league form, 3 wins in their last 5. So, Porto, absolutely should not be underestimated. But man, I'm so excited by the opportunities that can come in the Champions League, Matt, and it's what I'm looking forward to most for Arsenal this season. The Premier League, of course, you want to see them do well and fight on the front of the Premier League, but I really want to see Arsenal go deep into the competition in the Champions League. It would really excite me. But yeah, there we go. Yem's also highlighting the fact that it's a huge week for Arsenal. Like we were saying, Porto, then Newcastle. Newcastle a little bit kind of, how do you say? They're not firing on all cylinders. I watched them on yesterday when they played Bournemouth, and Bournemouth had some opportunities. And Newcastle aren't the same kind of beast. Of course, if you're going away, then it would be maybe slightly different way to prepare. But I'm pretty confident Arsenal can beat Newcastle. But
I
yeah,
do
Matt,
agree
a
with.
huge week. I mean, let's talk about it, Matt. A huge week for Arsenal. Porto and Newcastle. Are you confident that Arsenal can get 2 wins?
I was going to say, I do agree with Yem that Newcastle could be a potential banana skin. Obviously, we dropped points against them last season, that 0-0 at home. And obviously, that's a different preposition now. The quality we have at the minute, the quality in the team, the unchanged team, but where rotation comes into things does make things quite interesting. And the weird thing with when we seem to get injuries is they seem to almost be all eggs in one basket. So, for example, when we had an injury to a number 9 last season, it was Jesus, Trossard, and Nketiah. It wasn't one and then a midfielder. And this season, it's been quite a similar case with fullbacks. It's been Timber, Zinchenko, and Tomiyasu. It's not just been one and another. So that can be quite difficult to navigate. I think Newcastle's going to have to be the game we somewhat rotate. That doesn't mean we need to go crazy and rotate, 8 players. Obviously not. But I think potentially someone like a Reece Nelson could start against Newcastle. Someone like Emil Smith-Rowe, someone like Jorginho, depending on if he plays against Porto, of course. You also have some very durable players and also first name on the team sheets type, like your Odegaard, like your Bukayo Saka's.
Declan Rice.
So, yeah, 100%. You could name a lot of them at the minute, which is exciting.
I think the spine of the team pretty much stays the same, as well with Trossard's recent form. I think it would be Raya.
Playing central.
Oh man, I think it would be Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Odegaard, and Bukayo Saka. Those are kind of nailed on starters, aren't they? And I'm saying he feels like it's like the Sporting game last year, and we know how that one went injury wise.
In my head, that just didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Matt, let's talk about some interesting tweets which have gone out today. And an interesting one in particular from Team News and Ticks, which is, if you don't know, get to know, an account on Twitter that is very reliable with Arsenal news, Arsenal, transfer news, team news. And this account tweeted out today saying football business changes so quickly. This time last week, I'd have expected Ivan Toney to be an Arsenal player in the summer. I'm now quite confident that he won't be. So, there's always an element of mystery and a question to be asked after a team news and ticks tweet. But what do you take from that, Matt? Not really. I mean, he's very reliable and very well informed. So, from what you take from that, Ivan Toney not necessarily on the cards this summer as the first choice striker.
I think it just means two words, doesn't it? Really,
Go on.
Kylian Mbappe. No,
Kylian Mbappe. Oh, get out of here, Matt. Get out of here. Get out of here. You say that man's name one more time, and I'm going to have to remove you from the stream.
I had to give the audience what they wanted, But no, I think for me, the number 9 talk kind of should be more about profiles than it should be about disliking a certain player, so to speak. So I think if you don't want Toney, it's because you don't really want someone who might drop deep quite a bit, isn't the quickest, isn't someone who's going to run the channels and be an outlet. And instead, you'd rather someone like an Osimhen who, he's easy, I guess, the number 1. Damn, believe it. But yeah, there you go. He's quick to dismiss, but it's all right. We'll build it. We'll build the realization of.
Do you know what? I'm just setting myself up for, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. No, and it's not even that. Someone like Victor Osimhen would be incredible, but I don't know if it is Victor Osimhen. But we'll wait and see. Oh, Mbappe at the Arsenal would just be. It would be incredible, but I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. I think, man, he's going to Real Madrid, isn't he? He's going to Real Madrid.
100%. I'm not like. Yeah. The thing is, right? There's 2 reasons he's not joining us. One is this Spanish club, which ends in Madrid. 2 is the financial side of things.
Oof.
Like we've got to be logical about things. I mean, he's not going to happen.
I mean, if we talk through it though, he'll be on a free, but the wages would be astronomical, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Sell Eddie the 14th free. That's cheeky.
You know what? You might know. I think it's just one of those where if we were to even sign him, I think if we were to even get close to signing him, I think Twitter would blow up, let alone signing him.
I mean, yeah.
You've just got to be logical, as you say, about things. I mentioned his name as a joke. Also, I saw someone did make quite an interesting point.
Go on.
Someone I was speaking to yesterday on a space. He kind of just said like all the work done by other players for one player to kind of come in and be that superior player, and that type of thing. Obviously, Mbappe for me is the only player in world football you consider making exceptions for, more or less.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we can get Mbappe, imagine. But to be honest, I'm not even putting that thought in my head because Real Madrid have been doing so much back work. It's not even funny, and it's one of those where it's just not an Arsenal signing, is it? Really,
they've got a slightly ridiculous, like bottomless pot of money as well, Real Madrid, that they can afford 900k a week or whatever he's going to be on. Especially as a free transfer too, he's going to be on like almost double probably what he was on before. Because they're not paying the transfer fee, signing bonus is going to be ridiculous. It's like the Erling Haaland one, where obviously Haaland had a release clause, but the amount of money that goes in from other angles is going to be ridiculous. Mentions a good point here as well. Someone like Dusan Vlahovic, Arsenal could maybe look to revisit that. Sesko, I don't really know as much about, but I think, Matt, do you have an inkling to which kind of way Arsenal will potentially leaning towards? I mean, Victor Osimhen's been mentioned, but then there's also been talk that PSG might look to replace Mbappe with Victor Osimhen in Paris. Dusan Vlahovic, anyone else you want to bring to the table? Dom Solanke, maybe? I mean,
it's quite nice to have a convo with quite a few of these guys, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, that was a really bad joke. Apologies. I could have gone down the meal.
I didn't even get it, so we're just going to gloss over and move on. But please answer the question if you can.
Brilliant. Fair enough. It's I think it's one of those where you say that PSG have Osimhen on their list or whatever. I'd expect every top club in Europe to have Osimhen on their list, just like I'd expect every top club in Europe to have Sesko on their list. Same for, they'll be attentive to Vlahovic's situation. I'm sure there'll be some clubs monitoring Solanke, Ollie Watkins, etc., etc. So I think seeing links in the mainstream media isn't something to go too whoa about. I don't think it's
Yeah.
ever a thing where a team has one target, and if they don't get it, then all hell breaks loose. They have 20, 30, 40 plus names of, different types of prospects, people they're monitoring, or players where it's like, if their situation becomes more feasible, maybe someone like a Kai Havertz in that sense. You wouldn't have even thought he could be linked with a summer move away, let alone to Arsenal, really. But in terms of names, I personally feel like we'll end up with either Osimhen or Sesko. I don't really know in a big way. That's kind of more just off the profile side of things. Osimhen is a long-standing target. I mean, we've seen. I think Charles Watt tweeted a few years ago that our reps had a meeting with his or something like that. That's going back a while. Obviously, Hume says 120 million is overpriced. He's good, but that's a game changer level of fee. That is it. Like, you look at Rice. No one's talking about his price tag. And you've got someone like Alexander Isak as well, where if he was to be available, that would be someone who I'm sure many people, including me, would love. Leao was a different type of way if we wanted to go down more of a Martinelli type 9 route, or more of a fluid front three without having a set number 9, which probably seems a bit improbable. But yeah, I'd say there are quite a lot of options. Dan, I don't know if there's any you're naturally leaning towards.
I mean, it's not somewhere that I've got the most kind of knowledge about, because, man, someone like Ollie Watkins, I wouldn't necessarily. Again, I think he'd be an improvement on what Arsenal got. I think Ivan Toney would be an improvement on what Arsenal have currently got. But I just think, man, there's not one name that stands out to me. I mean, Victor Osimhen is very expensive, right? And he's going to cost a lot. His wages are going to be a lot. It will be a huge investment. But I mean, having seen flashes of him at AFCON, seeing little bits of him at Napoli, 120 million is a lot of money, and I don't
I
know what
think it's a
the
bit
release
less, to be
clause.
fair.
There's a release clause, isn't there?
104 million, I believe. I think
Something,
that's
yeah.
okay.
It's still a lot of money, and I think it would be kind of similar to the fee Arsenal paid for Declan Rice. But man, I don't know. If you're watching, by the way, please do feel free to comment who you want to see Arsenal sign. What striker you want to see Arsenal bring in the summer. It's going to be an interesting one for sure, and it'll be interesting to see if Arsenal have got their number one target and they move as soon as the window opens to try and get them in, or they've got a number of targets and they have to deflect through a numbers because others, doors close and stuff like that. But it's exciting times. I mean, Arsenal will look, I think, to bring in a striker. When you talk as well, someone like Pedro Neto, really, really good yesterday. Lovely little assist for the goal at Spurs. I mean, I saw James tweet that his hamstrings are made of cheese, so unfortunately, it wouldn't be feasible. But do you think a right-sided, left-sided? I mean, Pedro Neto is more right-sided, isn't he? But do you want to see another backup kind of winger bought in, or do you think someone like Pedro Neto, if you're spending 60, 50, 60 million pounds on Pedro Neto, is it a lot of money to be paying for someone that maybe won't always start? And reliably, reliability isn't necessarily his biggest strength.
I was going to almost add another layer to that question of the number 9 one, and kind of go down a route of, and it ties in with your question about Pedro Neto really nicely.
Go on.
Would you rather Arsenal went for a project number 9 like a Benjamin Sesko, who has his 42 million release clause? Haven't really watched them at all, but the general perspective. Josh Xerxes, another one who's looked really impressive. Someone within that bracket, a bit more of an unknown quantity, but at the same time, you can tell that they have a lot of talent and the profile's really good. And it's just
You could put Osimhen into almost like a project. You could put Osimhen almost into a project striker as well, because he's still only, but he's still only 25, which is just coming into his prime. It's not, obviously it's not someone that's gonna come in and it's not someone that's gonna learn and kind of come through at Arsenal. You want someone that's going to hit the ground running.
He can learn off Eddie, to be fair.
Learn off Eddie. But I mean, someone like Gabriel Jesus still. If he could stay fit, he'd probably still hold that position down now, but it's just reliability with
Exactly
Arsenal still, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly what Hume's about to say, though, was more or less my like preposition in the sense of would you rather Arsenal go down a project route, get Sesko, and then also get a Neto or Williams from Athletic Bilbao, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, who's got a release clause, signed a new contract recently, but still got a 45 million release clause. Very, very talented. Can't say I've ever watched him play before. Um, or would you rather Arsenal went big for someone like Osimhen, but then at that point, what position would you be okay with Arsenal sacrificing? That's a question to anyone watching. And Dan, what position would you be like? Okay, Arsenal spent 104 million on Osimhen. Therefore, I'm okay with Arsenal not signing a centre back or not signing a left back or not signing a winger. What you know?
I mean, I'm not necessarily worried, I think, about a lot of positions at Arsenal at the moment. I think the main one is that centre forward. I think pretty much everywhere else across the pitch, Arsenal are pretty stacked. Just just unlucky with injuries. When you think you've got something, when you think if you've got Timber, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Kivior, that can all play at left back. Some of them can play right back
By the
too. You've got
way, just got to put a pause there because you mentioned one name, and I just want to give him a round of applause. To be honest,
yeah, Jakub Kivior.
Jakub Kivior
Yeah,
coming in, not inverting, anymore. You don't want to force players to invert when that's
yeah.
clearly not their strong suit. White's been
Mm.
doing it more recently, but take a bow. He's been
He's been
fantastic
very
recently.
good. He's been very good. I'm very impressed with him too.
Carry on.
But yeah, no. To my point, I think Arsenal have got fairly good cover across the rest of the pitch. I would not be worried really if Arsenal didn't sign Pedro Neto, and I would not mind. I don't think if Arsenal. I feel like there's one position other than centre forward. I feel like you've got centre forward and another like number 8 kind of role because I think Thomas Partey will leave in the summer.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have an issue if Arsenal just signed another midfielder alongside, that big striker.
A centre
But
back
man,
not a big priority for you in the sense of
I
having at
don't
least
think
like a
so.
fullback centre back with Saliba, not you
But
don't
then
want
you
it to
think
get
you
to a point
But
where
then you think
yeah.
though, when you think though, you've got when Timber, Tomiyasu, and Zinchenko are all there and fit, which again might not be all the time, but when you've got at least a couple of them, you think someone like Jakub Kivior might move back into kind of a centre back cover role for Saliba and Gabriel. They've not missed a lot of games this season, if any, to be honest. Saliba's played every Premier League minute, I think. But again, you've got Ben White, Kivior that can fit in there. I know White's not necessarily a centre back anymore. But man, it's an interesting point. But I think for me, the main one's a midfield partner to play alongside Declan Rice and a centre forward. But I think everywhere else, I wouldn't be too worried if Arsenal didn't sign, like another centre back. I mean, it would be preferable. But man, I don't know what I can see Arsenal doing. It's an interesting question. It is interesting. But there we go. That's what we're here to discuss. I wanted to ask you a question, Matthew, and feel free to comment down below if you are watching along. Thank you again if you are watching. Please feel free to subscribe, drop us a follow. We appreciate all the support on that front. But I wanted to ask you, Matt, how important is it that Arsenal win trophies and achieve goals, and really make a name for themselves across Europe whilst the team is good? How important is it that Arsenal capitalise on the success with the team and turn it into success on the biggest kind of stage of all?
I know things can turn doom and gloom quickly, but I think that's one of the things we have going for us in abundance. The fact that I look at this Arsenal team and I look at Arteta and everything like that, and I think there's no way. Like if you were to be put into, I don't know, temporary sleep for 20 years, and you come out of that and you're like, how many trophies do you think Arsenal have won? I'd very confidently be able to say we've won multiple Prems and Champions Leagues because I think the direction of the club, the ages of the players, just everything points towards the future being so bright. But at the same time, football is an unknown quantity. And especially with the opportunity the Champions League brings this year, although I feel like it brought the same last year and the year before, I don't really think the quality of the Champions League has been, like in the past, how it's been, if you will,
Mm.
where you have to play like some top Barca team or a top Juventus team or that type of thing. It's more your best teams aren't that amazing versions of themselves, if that makes sense.
I mean, I'd say Real Madrid are maybe the exception this year because they look sensational
They
with Jude
are,
Bellingham.
but I don't like if in terms of like an all-timer type Real Madrid team or the Real Madrid team we beat in I can't remember what year. I'm not even gonna go for that. But I do agree. You know, as you say, how important it is to win prizes or win trophies, and Yim saying that they're the indicator of success. No one remembers. You came second. No one remembers you got knocked out. Well, people remember, but you not in a good way that you lost the final. It's up to us to put right a lot of the a lot of the things about us. If you think about Arsenal as a club, it's a club where in recent times people have put across the narrative that we have a soft underbelly and you can bully us and whatever else. That's very much been proven completely, or the narrative of that is completely flipped now with the aerial ability of the team in itself. And then as a club narrative in itself, Europe's always been a weak point, and even under Arteta we've not exactly done too great in Europe. So it's up to us to navigate Porto effectively, get whoever we get in the Champions League. I'd personally have liked to avoid someone like Inter because I think they're brilliant. But whoever we get, it doesn't really matter the big name side of things. It's up to us to be like, we are a top team. Let's navigate through this tie. But I don't want to get ahead of myself with that because it's up to Porto first, game at a time. But it's, in a nutshell, very, very important because at the end of the day, obviously the journey is very important, like very, very important. But the end goal is what everyone's striving and everyone's aiming for.
Yeah, you make a good point, my friend. And what was it Arteta said on the documentary? Is it the destination or the journey? And it's a mixture of both. It depends where you're at in the project. But my friend, it's been good. It's been good. It's been brilliant tonight to talk these things through. Arsenal have got Porto on Wednesday away in the Champions League. One of the guys that plays on my Sunday league team, he's Portuguese and he's a Porto fan. So
who's going to play pace for Porto for a second?
No. On my Sunday league team, yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Side hustle?
Side hustle in the Champions League. There we go. So yeah, I'm hoping I can rub it in his face a little bit when I go to training on Thursday. But man, Arsenal in the Champions League, knockouts. Hopefully they can progress and they can have success in the competition this year. I really, really do, feel passionately about it that I want Arsenal to achieve stuff this year in the Champions League. Then they've got Newcastle on Saturday. It's the late kickoff, 8:00. Yeah. I might even be able to jump on a late train after work. No, I don't know. We'll wait and see. But it'll be a good game. So please, if you're watching on YouTube back, make sure to comment down below what you think the score is going to be. Please subscribe to us. We really appreciate any support. If you're watching on Twitter, please, if you could hop over to YouTube, type in AFC Newsday, we'd really, really appreciate any support. But Matt, any last words before we jump off?
I will, yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
Just enjoy, like how good we are as a club, how well run we are as a club, the future of the club. Also, at the same time, I just want to add, not as a doom and gloom thing, but it's also a painful thing knowing at this moment in time with the league that one slip up undoes all the hard work, because that's how it is with the title race. But loving how everything is at Arsenal at the minute. The players deserve a trophy, deserve a big trophy so much. I really hope, we can see Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard, etc., pictures with the Champions League or with the Premier League in the near future at Arsenal. And just have a lovely rest of your evenings. And yeah.
Well said, mate. Well said. Yeah. Shout out to everyone watching. Really appreciate you. Arsenal versus Porto, and then Newcastle will be back after those games to reflect on them, preview the next ones. But thank you so much for being there. Please subscribe, like the video if you can, and we will catch you very soon. Take care, guys.